yes, I love the car. But if I had known what it cost, it would have been returned. That's why you didn't tell me how much it cost before you bought it.
No, what I'm saying was, my point is, I didn't owe you that at the time.
I disagree. Here's why.
Okay, sure.
Here's why. We had an agreement that we wouldn't make any business decisions, business related decisions. Hold on. Or any that required credit other than the two of us.
That was before y'all got engaged. Before y'all got engaged. We never had that conversation.
No, we had that when I was helping you, when I was trying to convince you to pay it for to file bankruptcy.
Love is a treasure chest, but once opened, our hearts become vulnerable.
I went back to Vegas. It was this guy. He appeared as a friend. Sure enough, it led to infidelity.
Alignment can't be ignored.
We talked about certain topics as far as having kids. She didn't want to have kids. And that was one of the red flags.
And I know you desire marriage. So I think it's best you move on with your life.
Hold on, Lisa, what you do?
I told him, okay.
She didn't ask me why.
I knew several other women's bodies better than I knew my own. I watched their videos of them having sex, so I would try to imitate that.
No discussion is off limits. Dear Future Wifey Podcast brings healing.
You inspire us to try God a little bit more.
But through this platform, I have realized that it's possible. It's possible to love again.
The conversations have really helped me to change my perspective on relationships.
Season 7 is all about tough topics. I'm Lateris R. Whitfield, and welcome to the Dear Future Wifey Podcast. Welcome to the Dear Future Wifey Podcast. I'm your host, Lateris R. Whitfield. Listen, this is Season 7. Are you still shacking up with us? If you're still shacking up with us, come on, can we get a commitment? Hit that subscription button and subscribe. Make sure you turn on your notification bell so you'll be notified about upcoming episodes. Man, look, I know y'all like this new set we got going on, huh? Man, God's been doing some amazing things and just overall with the Dear Future Wifey Podcast, and I never take it for granted. Well, y'all know that I'm very intentional about who I have on the podcast. This season is about tough topics. Season 7 is dedicated to tough topics. When you don't address some of the tough topics that we face in relationships, it can lead to ultimate destruction later on. So we got to make sure that we address it head on, and don't be afraid to have those uncomfortable conversations. So, without further ado, welcome to the Dear Future Wifey Podcast, a couple that y'all love so much when they were on in season 6. A lot of y'all been DMing me saying y'all need to have them back on there. They're going through some things right now because y'all genuinely care and love these individuals so much. So, without further ado, welcome to the Dear Future Wifey Podcast. My homies, Rashid and Symone. How y'all doing?
How you doing, brother? I'm doing good.
I said, how you doing? Yeah. She looked at me with suspect. Yeah. Why you look like that? Can I say how you doing?
No, that's fine. I was trying to decide if I was going to tell the truth or lie. Because I've been telling the truth. So I'll say bad, horrible.
That's good.
Yeah.
But I brushed my teeth today, and that's what matters. So
the other days you didn't brush your teeth in the shower?
No.
How long have you been going without brushing your teeth and showering?
I think it was about 3. And then I just started calling my girlfriends, and I was like, hey, I need you to come over because I don't want to stink for you. And you'll help me get out of bed.
So your friends came over and helped you get out of bed?
They have. They've
good.
Been wonderful.
So what Symone are we going to see today? The Symone we saw last time had us in stitches, cracking up, laughing, you standing up on the couch, squatting down, doing crazy stuff. Where is Symone at right now?
I'm not there. Yeah, I am just reflecting on my life, regrouping, trying to get my glow back.
Good. Rashid, one thing that I honor and respect about you as a man is you released a video not too long ago where you were totally vulnerable and transparent. You know, as men, that's one of the hardest things for us to actually do, for us to be transparent and vulnerable and share with people the chinks in our armor.
Right.
And so what led to that? What made you decide to just bear it all in front of the world? Why didn't you just leave that behind the scenes only between you and Symone?
Because I had been doing that for a long time and I wasn't getting the results that I wanted and those that I loved and loved me wanted. So it was an opportunity to call myself to the carpet, right? And to free myself of all of the traps that I've allowed to keep me shackled behind who I truly am and live this kind of life where everything's great. I'm doing great. Everything's great. I've got all this stuff going for me, and I've just got it going on and all figured out. And I had got to a crossroads in my life. It had been building for quite a while. And quite honestly, I had almost did a video like that. I just didn't press record about 6 to 8 months prior to that one. Yeah. Really did.
What was happening at that time for you that almost led to that?
It was some relational stuff with me and her.
Oh, let me shut up.
It was the same thing?
It was the exact same issue.
And other things in my life other than just our relationship. Some work things, some transition of going back to work and finally committing myself to like, okay, this isn't working. Let me move forward. So in a nutshell, man, at the end of the day, me and her, I had to have a very, very tough conversation with Symone, this woman that I love. And I had to disappoint her. And I had to disappoint her for the umpteenth time. And I was tired of doing that, to this woman that I love. She didn't deserve it, and people around me. And I just needed to call myself out publicly, because I said this on the video, is I show you all the good stuff when everything's popping. I show you this. I'm here. I'm in this car. I'm flying here. We're in first. Da 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 da. So, and I'm doing that subconsciously to make myself feel better. And I know people at home that sometimes look to social media for their life or their guidance. I'm making them feel bad at their expense when I don't got it going on like I appear. So why not tell them the real truth? Since I'm going to show off, I'm going to show you my warts and expose myself. And then there's no turning back from that.
So when you decide to share with Symone your state of your finances, and she was very privy to what you had going on, but not to the degree of this violation that occurred. I watched Symone do a video where she talked about how she knew about your finance, you knew the state of your income, and said, let me go ahead and rally behind my man. Let us go dispute some past debt that he had, even helped to have about, what you say, Symone, about $10,000 worth of debt forgiven.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I won that trial.
Yes,
and then she said, I won that trial.
She did.
I won all of them, but yeah.
The power of dating, an attorney.
Right.
And so she rallied behind you. She did all that. What caused the disconnect? And I'm gonna put a link to the video that you put that you did on Ages and Stages page and y'all's link so people can go. I don't want to go into the weeds of all of that.
Sure,
y'all already shared all that.
Backstory.
But I want to give people context on this episode. What happened in that moment? So what did he share with you in that moment for the bottom to fall out y'all's relationship?
So it was interesting, and I have to say, I'm sure it's very confusing for him because it happened so fast, but it happened so deeply. So it was the Thursday. He came in the room and he was like, hey, some things are on my mind. I need to talk to you. I can't go forward with the wedding like this. Like, I can't marry you in this context. I remember he said, in this context. I was like, what the hell?
Is it context?
What context are we discussing? He was like, there are some things that I have concerns about. So he led with things that I needed to work on as a person. And then he went into, and he said, I love you. I want to marry you one day, but I can't do it like this. He said, I really think we should elope. My buddy's going to give us a private jet. We can hire a photographer, have them come with it, chronicle it. That way we could share it with loved ones. And I was like, oh, baby, that sounds like a great idea. And I was like, you sure? I was crying, but then I was happy. I was like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. He was like, because I had always said, I'm okay with eloping if we have to.
Right.
But for me, when I say have to, what I mean is because there's family strife or people don't have passports and not enough people can get there. I don't mean because we can't afford it. Because at my big age, if I can't afford a $17,000 wedding, I have no business being married. And I had no business being married.
Answer that. So that's an interesting take on it. You say if you can't afford a $17,000 wedding, then you have no business being married. Unpack that.
I mean us.
I know it.
And our situation.
If combined,
so
if you can't afford to have, because some people just say, well, we're going to go to the courthouse, so that definitely going to cost $17,000. Are you saying that if we don't have the the disposable income of $17,000 to spend on a wedding, that what does that mean?
No, what I'm saying is in our household, we prioritize certain things.
Right.
And we save for what we want to save for. And we pay the bills that are priorities.
Right.
And if we were we were engaged for a year. Today would have been a year. He proposed to me on this day.
Really?
Last year.
Hold on this day
Best
for real?
day of my life.
Wow.
Best day of my life. Gone. Because I wasn't worth saving $1,000 a month over the course of the year. It was not a priority.
So let's grab this.
And I'm speaking on how I am feeling on it. That may not be your truth, but I feel.
You felt like you wasn't prioritized to save $1,000 a month. Rashid, touch on that.
Wow. Okay. So in the spirit of tough conversations, we had tough conversations very early on. I was very adamant about that when we started dating and became serious. Mm-hmm. So on our YouTube channel, we did a background check and we talked about those things, and that was all real. And she knew a lot of things that I was dealing with that came over prior to her, that I was in trying to dissolve, right? It's just taking longer than I would have anticipated. And then, so she understood that. She understood what I brought into the relationship. And I was almost, and I joked about it a lot, saying, hey, she would almost act like I was trying for her not to like me. But because I was really
real,
I was really. So she knew what she was getting into, right? And then she would, I know, you're an entrepreneur, you just started a business. I know you broke. I decided to proceed while we were dating, right? And then with that, I had started a new business since the pandemic and doing what I was doing, and still had this overhead that I had not fully gotten rid of yet, right? So the fact that she felt that she wasn't worthy enough for that money for me to save X amount of whatever the total was be. Is a bit disappointing to hear that, but that's her truth. For me, it was, at that point she moved in with me. She didn't pay a bill. She had a roof over her head. And we were angling towards marriage. And I showed her quite, if we want to talk about the monetary side of things, I showed her with the ring that I bought her. That's insured. So, you know, when you hear those things as a man, it's like, okay, I got you. This is what we think, and this is what I want to do, and let's have this wedding. I propose. Let's plan it out, and let's talk about how we want to do that. So the tough times is when I'm not completely transparent, like I've got it all figured out, right? And that's where the hurt comes from her, because I will say this: she kept telling me, let me know if you don't have X, Y, Z. Let me know. She said that. Give me, so I'm not disappointed. And I would say, no, I got it. At now,
what stage? What stage was she saying that?
This was because we had to, and again, in full transparency, we had an initial date planned in April.
Right.
And as we get down to April, we're doing all these other things pre-show of us, me proposing on the show. We spent other funds for like an engagement party, all kinds of stuff we spent money on, right? Mm-hmm. And it wasn't towards the wedding, but it was gearing up to the wedding. And we had decided to film a lot of the stuff that we're going through because a lot of people want to see it. So with that came the financial infidelity, is what, you know, she likes to claim it as, which is true, because when you do things that the other person don't know fully about and you're supposed to be teammates, I wasn't being a good teammate.
Right.
So with that was that would start to happen. And
So was it, when you say financial infidelity, was it something that y'all had agreed upon? Hey, I remember her saying something like, everything of a purchase is going to take place over $1,000. We need to discuss that. And so everything below $1,000, then, we're adults. We can make a sound decision on it. And so was that what you're referring to about the financial infidelity?
Not necessarily. Because we talked about that. We talked about that more so when we actually got married. And that would be kind of a, yes.
You talking about, you said if y'all were to get married, then discuss?
Once we got married, we talked about, okay, because now we're going to be combining funds. We're going to have a joint account, right?
And then
you have two personal ones, right? And then we said, okay, let's make this pact. If you spend X amount of dollars, I think it was $1,000, and over that, then we have to tell each other that. We have to notify each other that. So I was like, I agreed to that. But that was more so as moving towards our nuptials, as getting married, and we start to save for the wedding.
So what was the financial infidelity?
So it was.
Hold on. There's another rule that is very significant here.
Go ahead.
That is important. We had another rule because I was putting in all this effort to help dig him out, and I saw him. He was in credit repair and stuff like that. But he always had some new thing he wanted to do, a new project he wanted to explore. And I said, you're not taking out any debt that you can't qualify on your own. If they're not going to give it to you, it's because we can't afford it. And I said, either that you can't get on your own or that I can't co-sign for you. Because if it was something that I supported, I would co-sign for you. And he did not do that. He went and got a $126,000 vehicle behind my back.
So I didn't get it behind her back. See, this is where our disconnect is.
That's how I feel.
Okay, so what happened then? Let's unpack that. You said behind your back. What was that?
So that's not the case.
Okay.
So I'm in the car business. Everybody knows that. And I had multiple cars. This is me trying to dig out of debt from prior to her, right? Had multiple cars I used to use and rent out and make money. So at a certain point, they were no longer making money. And I had to get one back from a gentleman that I had owner finance from. So then I had my own car, right? So as the financial issues were still waning, because I'm still working for myself at the time, I was negative in one car and I was positive in another. But I had these two cars I'm trying to get down to one. So versus me not having the money a lump sum of money to cover the negative, I had one with positive equity, right? So I told her.
Is that the car that you had, or the car?
Yes, the car that I had.
The car you had was positive. The car, the repo was negative.
Exactly, right? So I told her, babe, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take both these cars and I'm going to trade them in for one and absorb that and not have to come out of pocket.
Okay.
So I needed a car that would be that would allow me to
get
observe
the negative equity in.
So she knew I was getting a car to trade two cars in to get to one, right? And she knew I was getting a Porsche. She knew that. She didn't know the cost of it.
Correct.
Right? So
correct.
That's what I'm talking about. She didn't know the overall cost.
So you traded in which two cars to get a Porsche?
I traded in a Tesla and a Cadillac Escalade.
So you were driving which one were you driving originally?
The Tesla.
And so you took both of those in, got a Porsche that was 126 to absorb the negative equity, so you wouldn't be upside down when you got it.
Exactly. But here's go ahead.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. Me being a car guy, trying to show off and not have my financial house in order, I didn't have to get a Porsche, a $126,000 car.
That's why I want to ask.
That's the issue.
That's why I want to find out.
Right. I didn't have to do that. Right. I could have been humbled myself and went and got something half that price.
Give me an example. You could have got what?
I could have went and got a Honda. I could have went and got a Toyota. I could have went and got a Tahoe.
You could trade in both of those cars and got that.
Yes, because one washed out the other. Let's say one was negative 10 and the other one was positive 10.
Okay.
Right? So I did not have to go get a $126,000 Porsche. That's where the infidelity portion where she's talking about the money side of it. She didn't know the cost. And then now the subsequent monthly payment I would have to pay to maintain.
What was the monthly payment on that thing?
It's like $2,000.
Okay. No, it is $2,700 a month, all in. It is $2,200 a month.
The insurance.
It's $2,200 for the note, and the
note is $2,000.
It comes together when you add the insurance. Excuse me. Yes. So that's why I said in my context, if you can't come up with $10,000, we don't have no business being married, because you bought this knowing you had already bought the ring, knowing you were proposing, and he proposed the same month or the following month, and knowing that you wanted to get married within a year. And so every month you sat there and paid that almost $3,000 for a vehicle to make you feel good. Well, you know how I feel today. Yeah. Very upset. Very frustrated by that. Because also, I didn't know, like, I don't understand how cars work all the way, but I knew that I was expecting that, yeah, you trade two in. He did say that it would be like equal, but he deceived me in that he acted like it had to be you acted like it had to be an expensive car.
I didn't. I told you it has to be a car with enough markup to absorb
negative equity.
To clarify, he was basically trying to explain why the Porsche made sense, right?
Okay.
And what I'm saying is today you acknowledge you didn't need that fancy car, but more specifically, I drive a Maserati. And I said, babe, why don't we just drive my car so you figure it out, and then maybe, or even just like get like a base model Beamer or base, like something with like a reasonable $500 payment. He told me, I can't drive your Maserati. It's too small.
I did. I said that.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, reflecting back, I'm like, I probably could have added these up together and realized like it was worse than what I was aware of a while ago, because he's not too small. It's a Maserati SUV. He's not too small for it. But more than that, it took me a while to realize it's because when I approached it, I thought, oh, it's easy facts. I'm a lawyer and a finance major. But I didn't realize the core of the problem is what's never been addressed.
Right.
What causes him to make those choices.
So when you saw, was the video that he recorded, was that, had you heard a lot of that in y'all's dating thing? Has he ever been that vulnerable and share with you the depths of his pain, the depths of his...
Yes, he had. And I knew that the core, like when we were on Ready to Love together and we had a date in the back of the truck, he shared with me his experiences with being labeled early on and how it impacts him to this day. So I was always sensitive of that. And I always knew that was a foundational issue with respect to why he's so addicted to image. And it made sense to me. And so if you're doing something destructive, but I understand how you got there, I think my expectation is that I can love you out of this trauma. I can love you into health, and that we could figure it out and work amongst the drama and get better. I mean, therapy, he did try therapy. And so, because I think if I hadn't identified the cores, and in the video, he talks about the core reasons being labeled special needs, special ed in second grade, correct?
Right.
Mm-hmm. The second one was infidelity, being cheated on because he felt because he didn't make enough money, so to speak. Is that correct? Am I saying it? Right. Mm-hmm. Basically, he was cheated on because he was not making money as a school teacher, and then encouraged to change careers. He has, and he's been a rock star in this career. This is what you're supposed to be doing, for sure. And then thirdly, you told me about your father, because I couldn't understand why you keep wanting to open businesses, but not be a businessman.
Explain that. You said you can't understand why he wants to open up businesses and not be a businessman. And
Correct.
You said that, how does that connect with his father?
And that connects with his father. I just think he doesn't know how, perhaps, but he was saying his dad died at 52, very young, of mesothelioma. He worked blue collar. He worked on the shores, longshoremen. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And he explained to me that his father always opened businesses, and they would last for a little while and they would go under, but he was always entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
And he felt like his life was taken too soon, and he wants to pick up that torch and be successful in business to carry on his father's legacy.
Understandable.
Made perfect sense. Now I understand where that comes from. So when you come to me with this particular idea, which it's not a bad idea, it's just, we got to get a retirement first. We got to get a retirement before you talk about working two jobs and, different things like that. So for me, I came to realize that, like, what I'm dealing with is a person who I feel that what we've identified, the way that it impacts your life is the same way as a gambler. You make certain gambles, and you have such optimism. You hope things are going to go a certain way, and then when they don't, it's like, oh shoot, now what do I do? And in this situation, it was oh shoot, what do I do? And I looked around because I've been sacrificing. I felt like I've sacrificed throughout our relationship. We both have. But I felt like this is not a time when I'm tired of covering for you. I'm not willing to do it. And this was the time that I needed you to show up for me the most, and you chose not to.
It's interesting the stuff that that he unpacked in that episode. Gosh, I mean, it's so interesting because, of course, a lot of that hits close to home with, family members of mine and stuff. So when you look at him being labeled as special needs or being in special ed classes, my son Armani has been very transparent about it. And one of the things that when I adopted him, the first thing he said, I need to get out of special ed. And he said, I need to. And I said, Armani, you're brilliant. I said, go prove. I'm trying not to choke up. Lord, I said, go prove to those people that they miscategorized you. They got you in the wrong classes. And I remember we were enrolling him sophomore year. Was that first? That was sophomore year. And the lady was going in enrollment, everybody in line. And the lady just yelled out. She looked at his transcript. She said, oh, you in special ed? You're supposed to go over there. And she pointed, he said, oh, and I just watched my son shrink. He was just like, I can't believe she just said that like that. It was the very first time I actually felt, because remind you, he just got placed in my house July the 6th on his birthday. And then here it is, the next school year in August. Yeah. He's going to school for the first time under my care. And that lady said that, and I said, I want to fight that lady. I was like, did you just embarrass my son like this at a new school?
Yeah. I would have helped you.
I know you would have jumped on her. And so I was just like, did he just do that? But I watched him shrink. And then he said, Dad, I can't be in this class no more. He said, I got to get out of this. And so I said, prove to him. By the end of before the first 6 weeks was over, we did an ARD. And they had all his teachers. We sat in this room. They said, we don't even understand why Armani is in these classes. If I had a classroom full of Armanis, it would make me a happier teacher. She said he's respectful, he's killing it. A.B. honor roll and all that. They said, we don't even understand why he's here. And I said, Armani, you proved to them that you don't need to be in these classes. Well, his issue was more behavioral. You know what I'm saying? He was in foster care for 6 years. And so he had a lot of anger. So you say something wrong to Armani, he throw on the desk. He may throw you in the process of it. Right. You know? And so he was just, I would read his binders and stuff. I said, Armani, you a terror. Like you snapping on people. He's like, man, them people be messing with me. You know what I'm saying? But then he proved to them when we were going through COVID, kids were at home. Armani was straight A honor roll. Like he was like junior year in high school, A honor roll, where he'll get mad if the teacher didn't give him the assignment on time. I was like, Armani, why you I can't be failing. I need them to get my stuff together. And I was like, and here it is, a kid that was in special ed. So what hits hard for me my heart opens for Rashid is because no one would ever understand the gravity of what that feels like. Mm-hmm. What that feels like to go to school and be bullied in a sense and even if they're not even bullying you outwardly, you're going to be bullying yourself inwardly because you're going, I know I'm stupid. I know I think I'm this, they got me here. And these are the professionals. So if they say I'm not operating on the same level of everybody else. And so it's a lot. And so when I was hearing them talk, I was like, gosh, my heart goes out to my son. I hear what he says behind the scenes about even his own not feeling valuable in certain areas. And so I resonate and connected with Rashid on that because of what I deal with my son who's about to turn 20. And so I look at all that. Then you say, this is the trajectory of this young man as he's matriculating and he starts playing sports, and then you get some clout from that. And you're like, oh, okay, so now I'm getting some love from this. Yeah. And so now he starts identifying with his talent. A lot of men, what we find is that we find our value in what we do and not who we are.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And so it's a common thing with men, period. You talk to a man. You walk up and talk to a woman meet each other. Girl, hey, they'll start talking to each other. They'll be talking, oh, my kid is this, and I got this, and my family, and they showing pictures and all that. You talk to a man, they gonna talk about what they do. I work on this or whatever. I just got this new boat, you know what I'm saying? I'm finna go put it out on the lake, you know what I'm saying? Right. I got this brand new car, man. They're gonna talk about everything that they have and what they do and not who they are.
Yeah.
And so that's always the disconnect between men and women when they say men are from Mars and women are from Venus and all that stuff is because just the way we process information. And so as a man, I could hear what Rashid was saying in that moment. As a man, I can also hear how he was, me and him had some conversations, and I reached out to him quickly when I saw the video because I said, I hear where you're at. Now, the reason why that also resonates is because when I was married, I had said, I'm going to achieve a certain level financially, and then I deserve to be married. Yeah. What I didn't take into account is what happens when those finances dissipated, would I still deserve to be married? And so what happened was, yes, I was making all this money. I got married, and I remember writing a Facebook post where I said that I was sabotaging my marriage because the economy went bad. Unemployment was at 10%. I was touring shows across the country, making tons of money, and it all dried up. Nobody was touring. I was sitting at home looking crazy. I had money saved up to last me a good year, but my bills was literally $7,000 a month. So I'm living in a high-rise condo in downtown Dallas. Yeah. Everything started dwindling down. I looked at my wife like, I don't deserve to be married. She never projected that on me, but that's what I projected on myself and said, I don't deserve this woman. Yeah. The reason why this conversation is so important is because you have two individuals who I know beyond a shadow of a doubt love each other. Y'all didn't get engaged to say, we just doing this for TV. Right. We're getting engaged just because, hey, it ain't nothing else to do, so we might as well do this. No, y'all got engaged because y'all genuinely love each other. What breaks my heart is because, unfortunately, finances are extremely important. But what breaks my heart is if y'all can't recover the love that y'all have for each other and build something greater than y'all could ever build separate from each other. Right. That's what would break my heart. Yeah. So, same. Yeah. And so the reality is, I know, and Lord Jesus, I didn't know that you proposed to her on this day. When you say this day, what date are you talking about? This day.
June 29th.
Lord Jesus.
2022.
Yeah.
Because remember, it was on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
You had all my family fly in. Yeah. Surprised me afterwards.
Lord Jesus. When I say God be so intentional on stuff and I just can't take it no more. Yeah.
I thought y'all planned it this way. I thought that, okay. No, this is coincidental.
No, it was just straight up. I said, when can you come? Yeah, and he said, well, Symone finna go to Essence. So, so I said, she going to Essence. So he's like, well, we got to do it right before, fly in. We can do a turnaround. I said, all right, whatever. Let's just do it. And that's what happened. And so that's that just hits a whole lot differently. So when you saw him bare his soul to the world, what did you think? Do you think it was just a ploy to just get attention?
I busted out crying. So I was asleep. So to clarify, previously when he was feeling that way, I said you should capture it because we were capturing the lead up to our wedding. I said you should just capture it with your own camera, just natural what you're going through. Just talk to the camera. We'll give it to the editors. We'll see if it fits. It may not. Just capture it. And then when we had the conversation about wanting to elope, and he was like, "Yeah, we want to elope." We concluded that conversation actually with, "Yeah, this is a great idea. We'll get it with a private jet." And then, sorry, say your question again.
About when you heard him bare his soul to the world. What was your takeaway from that?
So at the end of our conversation, I had told him, I said, hey, you should capture your feelings, how you're feeling today after you just told me about the, and we just decided that we're going to postpone it. That we're going to do the elopement capture. He was like, I don't feel like it today, but I'll do it later. So I get a call. At this point, I have It was like 2 days later, and I had moved out of his house back into my own house, and my phone's blowing up.
What made you move? Let's stop there.
Oh, because I realized I was one of his enablers. And as long as I am doing everything for him, he's not going to do it for himself.
Okay, fair enough.
And I want him to have the confidence of knowing, like, all the stuff that I did, he's capable of doing. I just knew about how to do that first because of my experiences. But
real quick, I want to ask you, when she moved out, how did you feel about that? Do you feel like that was the best decision?
Not at the time, but ultimately, yes.
At the time, what did you feel?
I felt like, because it was very confusing, like she said, because when I told her, she was like, she started crying.
Happy.
Tears of joy, and said she was so proud of me for finally letting go of trying to hold on to this image or facade.
You talking about what, after she watched the video? After
No,
you shared, after you
before
opened
I
it?
even, yes.
Yeah, when you talked to her.
So to clarify that, let me bring something back real quick. First of all, I was seeing repeated habits of mine from my previous marriage.
Right.
So it wasn't divorce. My divorce was about finances, but it was similar things that I was doing at the time. It wasn't because I didn't make enough money. It's because I got into the same type of financial challenges and not able to stop those and put those to bed. But I let them continue to grow. So what happened is you talk, let me finish.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is I would bring on debt, right? So I was a school teacher at one point, right? So during that time, it was very, very minor. So I went to chiropractic college. I said that in my thing, right? And then I decided my dad passed away, right, at that time, at a very young age. So at that point, that's when it's like, man, I jumped out of college and jumped right back into college, and I'm back in school. He passed. He wanted to do all these entrepreneurial things. So then I stopped and I left chiropractic college, right? So chiropractic college is like medical school bills almost to the point. All right, so
you have no grants or nothing. You just
none of that. No, I just took loans. And now, mind you, I get out of college with no debt because I was a scholarship athlete, right? Mm-hmm. So anyway, I bring that into my marriage, that debt, right? So then that debt started to accrue. And then I got out of coaching because I wasn't making enough money teaching. So I went into the car business, started making all this money. So then what do? More money, more problems. You start buying things and all this other stuff. And then, you move around, you start making less money, you still have this overhead. Then you're trying to keep this image, this thing going. So I had the houses, the cars, the da-da-da-da-da, right? And then I was robbing Peter to pay Paul, the same stuff. So that ultimately, my mismanagement of the money, because I can always make money. I've always been great at making money. I've always been good at what I do. I just haven't been good at managing. So when she says, I want to be going to business, but not necessarily a businessman, we've agreed upon a lot of times I go just based upon the faith and belief in myself. Right. I don't necessarily always have a plan. Right. Yeah. So that was ultimately what led to my first marriage's demise. So as we start to get to this wedding date, right? And I'm doing the same stuff. And I just one day just had an epiphany like, bro, what the heck are you doing? You about to ruin another relationship, another marriage, doing the same, you know what? Yeah. And you say you changed. Now, I've made incremental changes, but not the stuff that is leading us in the same path. Right. So when I had the conversation with her, I knew that it could end it all. And in my mind,
you felt this.
Absolutely. I was prepared for it. But I could not take her down that path again. In fairness to her, in fairness to us as a team, and myself and my child, who would ultimately potentially see another divorce, because he loves her and they love each other.
Yeah.
When I say, Rashid, I respect you on that right there. Yeah. I respect you on the fact that said, I looked at what I did in the past. I'm about to do the same thing with this woman, and I can stop it right now. Yeah. And I'm at risk of losing her, but I gotta have this tough conversation.
Exactly. So my thought to myself, and I told her this, I said, I have to tell you this. I need you to sit down and listen to this. In my mind, I'm saying, I'm going to this, and this is how I'm prepared. You're going to resent me one of the two ways. You're going to resent me now or later.
Correct.
I would rather you resent me now before we're married, a child comes into this thing. We have to break down a mortgage, estates, this, that, and the third. So you're going to be upset. You're going to resent me. And hopefully this is something that we can overcome.
Yeah.
Because in a marriage, it's messy. It's the worst. And I want to stop this right now. I'm calling an end to this right now.
Good.
That's where she said she was proud of me and was started crying.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm like, I'm not about to do this. I'm not about to do this again.
Good.
So I stopped myself from that. So, and I told her, I'm not saying I will marry you tomorrow in a Cracker Jack box. That's what I told her.
Yeah.
And then she said, okay, let's do it.
Yep.
That's the confusing part.
Yeah.
She was
You
happy.
said let's do it.
I did. I said, can we do it tomorrow at lunch on your lunch break?
So when you were serious about that?
I was serious.
So
That's why I say it has to be freaky for him, because the conversation was Thursday, and by Saturday I was living in my own house.
So you said you would be willing to marry him after he told you what this financial situation was and change. What the heck changed between those 2 days?
Okay. What changed is I processed the why. I'm a very big why person. And I love the fact that he came to me. He knows that, like, if you're going to tell me no, you have to give me an alternative option that's still kind of cool. So he was basically like, I can't marry you. This wedding is, not affordable or whatever. You didn't even use that word, but I can't do this wedding, but we can do an elopement with the private jet.
Right.
And it sounded great. I was like, yeah. And he was like, and I still want to marry you. I'd marry you in a Cracker Jack box. And I was like, well, I'm not doing anything for lunch tomorrow. How about you? It was a Friday. And so he was like, no, I think I have a client. I was like, oh, darn.
But you were serious. You weren't joking. You wasn't Ben Symone jokes.
I was serious. I am spontaneous like that, but I was completely serious. Then what happened is I went to Dallas for work the next day, a quick trip there and back. And I talked to my marriage mentor / mother.
Marriage mentor.
I said, Mom, so we decided we're just going to elope. Are you, how do you feel about that? She was like, that's good. That's good. And my mom's gregarious like I am. So one word sentence means the rest of my thoughts you probably don't want to hear, so I'm going to make you pull them out of me.
Well, meanwhile, my mother told me her mother and my mother would talk about all the time, they should just elope.
They did. But my mom's sentiment was, I think that's a good idea because it decreases the stress and all of these other things. She said, but that doesn't solve the problem. What are you doing to address the core issue?
Did she know it was the core issue?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's
she knows.
exactly what he said.
Like, I have a good relationship with her mother. She
So
knows,
you kept it real with her mama too?
Yes. So she knows the financial struggles that I'm coming out of.
Yep.
And that I've been working towards. Right.
She was helping him too.
She's been helping me with financial planning and budgeting and things of that nature.
That's good.
So I've acknowledged the issues even prior to but the problem is, and this is where I give her the grace on changing her mind and all this kind of thing, because I was confused and all that kind of stuff. But Symone, as she said earlier, if the initial plan all along was an elopement,
then she'll be okay with it.
Yeah.
But she doesn't want to have to as a result of not being able to do
mismanagement.
it. Right. So
Because
what I did was
my part and
Right.
my parents did their part.
Right.
So I feel like it's almost like an unfair reward.
So what I did was I pulled the rug out from under.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's painful and embarrassing.
Right.
So I get that. So I'm not trying to discount her feelings and how she feels, because that has to be a lot. Because we had this is the second time we had pushed the wedding back, right? So, and all along, that's why it's like, I got it. I'll figure it out. I got it. Because that's, like I said, that's always, I have the ultimate confidence and belief in myself. And that's a gift and a curse. Because I always in the past, I'll figure it out. But half the time, I'm just doing this and figuring out just based off my skill set, because I'm a super hard worker and I'm smart and I just figure it out. But this time it just wasn't adding up, and I was moving too much stuff. I was willing to sacrifice something that would gain equity for us down the road for this weekend and this moment in time that is not, it doesn't reap any type of
What would gain equity?
Huh?
I don't understand. You said, what is it that would gain equity over time?
like my home. My home is getting so I'm looking at something like, okay, this is something that I'm going into this the wrong way. I'm going into this wedding in debt. And I don't want to do that to her, because now we're married in debt.
Right.
Right. But I had to do that in the 10th hour when she gave me every opportunity to say, Rashid, tell me.
Yeah.
I got my portion.
She said that she kept saying, she kept giving you a way out.
I got it. You know?
Looking dead in his eye. But also with the I want to clarify how it came to be that the first wedding got postponed too. So initially, I had always dreamt of the man planning the wedding, especially because he's good with design, fashion, decor. So he was working with the wedding planner, and something was awry because at this point it's late January, and I have seen not nary receipt. I know he doesn't like Excel spreadsheets and stuff. That's fine. I was a finance major, so I was like, give them to me. Yeah, give it to me. I'll do it. We are now in February, and I have not, and he still hasn't given me any receipts. I said, where are we on the budget? No answer. And at that point, we had not yet ordered the invitations. So I said, we cannot get married April 15th. It is 2 months away.
We're getting married on tax day anyway.
I know, right?
All of this is just setting up for you talking about get married on tax day.
And
you agreed to the date.
Right.
Talking about.
I did. I had nothing. You were planning. When you tell someone else to plan, you just show up and be grateful. So that's what I was planning to do. But
you're gonna be grateful.
And be grateful. But what was interesting is that first time, he never said, I don't have it.
True.
What I said, but I said, I haven't seen this, I haven't seen that. I said, tell the truth. Because in my heart, I was like, we're going to end up being a week from the wedding and he's not going to have his money and I'm going to murder him. That's the next time y'all going to see us on TV snapped. And I just knew it. And so I really disliked that he didn't just say at that time, I don't have it. Like,
how would you have handled it then?
I would have just pushed the date. Who cares? We haven't sent out invitations. Okay, I would say, when are you going to have it? What is your plan to have it? Show me those numbers and let's do a bank account where, we put the money in there so we can literally see if you have it or not. So the first time wasn't embarrassing to me because although we had verbally told people the date, we hadn't sent anything out.
Yeah.
My issue and where I stomped my foot was the fact that we spent an entire day it's more than that. We realized, I did the numbers and I realized, okay, destination wedding was actually what I wanted all along. He was complying. And I had said to him, he was like, let's just elope. And I said, let me just try to plan an affordable destination wedding. I said, because if I don't at least try, I'll resent you because I believe that we can do it in our budget.
So I said elopement before.
You did.
In between her pushing the April 15th back. So what she's speaking towards when we sat with the wedding planner and we're seeing these things and we're seeing these budgets and this money and I'm saying, okay, yeah, we can do it. We got it. Because I know I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna figure it out. But I didn't have it. You see what I'm saying? So that's my issue. That's the issue. So then I said, well, let's just elope. And then she wanted us to plan it. And then go ahead.
Yeah. Everybody told me I could not have a nice wedding in our budget. The budget was more like $20K is what we had left. But we even upped that a little bit and they were like, there's no way. No. And so I said, okay. So I did my research. Sir, I'm a very busy woman. Do you know I became a travel agent? I became a travel agent to save us money on the wedding so that I could get 15% on each block room rate in addition to the comped rooms. And I went to Mexico for almost a week. I went down there. I looked at all the resorts. I did all the work. I did everything I was supposed to do. And at that point, we didn't have the sky was the limit. We could pick any date due to the fact that, we were starting from scratch. And this was in May.
Yep.
So in fact, he wanted to get married August 8th initially. You were very big on some weekend in August, mid-August. And I was like, no, I think we needed a little more time, pushed it to Labor Day. And I think what was very upsetting is we spent a day last month finalizing the website. And before I got ready to hit send, something told me I went downstairs to the room that he was in. And I went over and I got in your face. I said, are you sure? Are you sure you're going to have your funds together, your money for this one? You said, you sure? I said, are you sure? I said, because if you don't, I will kill you.
That's what you said too?
Something like that.
Rashid
you will feel my wrath. It was very clear.
Rashid, would you say something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
It was a very clear, you will feel my wrath.
So when she said that to you, what did you think? You was like, I'm still going to figure it out.
Yeah, I believed her, but I still don't figure it out.
He let me hit send. Yeah. He let me hit send.
He said, I'm still going to figure it out.
I did. And that's the part that's so hurtful for her.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Yeah.
I let her press sin, so to speak. So
She going through.
when
I'm tapping you so I don't like punch.
when so this whole time you convince yourself,
Yep.
Yes.
okay, because to me, in the very beginning, I was like, I don't want a big wedding. We can go to the court. I don't want that at all. But I've been married before she hasn't.
Exactly. So
She
you gotta
wants to
give
wed.
her
So
that.
I want to give
That
her
was so
that.
sweet.
Yeah.
I want to give her that, right?
Facts.
So now I'm going to try to make everything happen to get her that. So then it's like from a man's perspective, like we put pressure on ourselves, right?
Unnecessarily.
Society puts pressure on us.
100%.
Women put pressure on us,
Yep.
right? But at the same time, a man wants those pressures because that's just how we're built.
Yep.
So I don't run from those at all. I still will never run from those.
Yep.
That's just not how I'm built. There's certain things that need adjusting and certain things that I need to understand that you need to ask for help and you need to say, I don't got it.
Facts.
But when you hear someone say, if this such and such, I'll resent you, what am I supposed to do at that point?
Tell
So
me before
now-
I resent you.
No. You just said, when I said, okay, when we
Yep.
stopped it, I said, let's elope. You said, no, let me try to do this because if not, I'm going to resent you.
Right.
Yes,
So
yes,
when I
yes,
hear those words on top of the pressure I already have, then I'm like, all right, well, let's go. Because I don't want you to resent me.
Right.
I don't want to do that. But at the end of the day, when we had this last conversation, I'm like, she's just going to have to resent me.
You say
because
you're
I'm
gonna
finna
resent me
stop
now,
this
you're gonna resent me later.
because
But also-
it's not going to end well.
Right.
And I don't
Reason
want to do
for
that. I
the
don't want to put her
resentment.
through that. I don't want to put myself through that. I'm not doing that again. To
But
you, to anybody.
It doesn't change the fact that the only
I'm not
reason
trying
you.
to change any facts. I'm telling you from a man's perspective. You said how
Why
you
are you
feel
raising your voice?
because I'm passionate.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get
Just
that
like when you said
clarified.
you was gonna kill me. Let's clarify that.
I did mean it.
Huh?
I did mean
Well, I
it.
You said
mean
you
raising
did
my
mean it?
voice right now. Then,
Yeah,
so
man,
I
you
mean
ain't
that.
gonna kill nobody,
I'm
Simone.
passionate.
I was talking in the past.
I'm passionate. I'm talking in the present. I'm
Okay.
passionate about
Simone
my
ain't gonna
voice
kill
being
nobody.
raised.
No, I don't want to go to jail.
Exactly. So you don't look good in orange.
Yeah.
So,
Why is that your, like? Don't
What?
you do that? When I raise my
part?
voice, you try to stop the conversation because I raised my. Don't try to
I
throw
get
me off.
scared.
by
I don't
raising
like-
my.
I don't like being
You're
yelled
not
at.
scared.
Okay.
Miss me with that. You're not scared.
so you were saying, what was you about to say just now, Simone?
I think I was going to say, well, with respect to the process and how you're talking about how with the lead up, yeah, it was how he was right. He said, I'm going to resent you now, or you're going to resent me either way. The underlying issue was the only reason he wanted to elope was because of the finances.
Right.
Which for me is, it's okay if you have financial issues, but if it's that bad where this is our only option, but we're driving $126,000 cars, we got to get our affairs in order.
Right.
And even,
I agree
he
with
was
that.
willing to, thank you. He was willing to sell his house in order, and that was the other issue that we talked about on that day when I was like, oh yeah, I'm proud of you, is because he said, I'm realizing I'm selling the house to pay for the wedding. What?
I'm not doing it.
No, right. And that was when I said I was proud of him, I meant that because that's the kind of logic that I need if you want me to submit to you. Because I ultimately had to step away because I realized I could not submit to his leadership.
So why didn't he sell the car? So wait, was that not the option?
Yeah, so that's one of the things I'm working on, right? So in a nutshell, first of all, let's talk about the house situation, right?
Hold on, let's get to the car. The car
No,
is $30,000 underwater. He can't sell it. Is
Okay.
the answer.
All right. Well,
so
that
that's
makes
the
sense.
frustration.
Yeah.
I was going to come to the car when I was done. So back to the home. I'm addressing what was first. Back to the home, I listed it for sale, right? To sell it because I felt I had enough equity, one, to cover most of my debt.
Okay.
Right?
So you're selling the house to take the equity and pay off your stuff.
Because the way I feel, I get out of debt. I can always get another house. I always get another investment property, blah, 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 blah. And part and parcel of that I would use to take care of the wedding.
Right.
Right? But I wasn't selling my house solely to pay for
Right,
a wedding.
right.
That's idiotic.
Right.
Right? Now, I would say it was about an 80-20 proposition. Or I think I told you 60-40 today. Like 40% of that I probably would have used to pay for a wedding. So that's what I'm talking about. I'm thinking about that, and I'm going through my mind. I was like, Rashid, that's dumb as heck. Why would you sell something that is only 2 years old? I built it from scratch, brand new home. I got a 3% interest rate. Who
Really?
cares it's in my
Yeah.
mama's name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who cares?
I knew that.
I'm an only child. Where is it going?
Your joint tenants with rights of survivorship. It's going to you, baby.
So,
I saw the documents.
and I'm like, I started thinking about those things. Why in the heck would I do that? I'm going to do the same crap that I'm trying to get away from.
Right.
And that was the epiphany I had.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not finna sell my house because part of it is in motivation. And it wasn't, if I hold on to my house a number of more years, it's going to be stupid
It's
money.
gonna shoot on up.
Stupid money.
Yep.
What a 3% interest. Like,
That's crazy.
Like, what is you doing,
gonna
Rashid?
get like that for a long
so
time.
So that was the final straw. I was like, nah, you tripping, bro. You have to go tell her and fall on the sword, and you got to be okay with the results. And so that's what ultimately led to the conversation when I said, like, look.
So when she came back,
I'm sorry.
So she went to visit her mom, came back, and you said, I'm moving out.
No, it was such a blur. That night, I think, how did I do it? I remember we talked and I went to bed and I couldn't sleep. And I went downstairs and I sat in his stupid Porsche and I just started screaming. I hated that car. And
wow, like, stop. Hold on. Now I'll let you finish. Go ahead.
That's myself.
That's cap.
To myself, like not now. But like I went downstairs and I'm just like, this is so dumb. Like that is not the reason we're not getting married. But to me, it just represented, like it was a visual of financial decisions that have gotten us to difficulty. And I was like, I can't walk in the garage every day and look at this car and know that effectively you're driving my wedding. You're driving my wedding because $3,000 a month, 3 of those payments, we could be married. But, and I remember, and I went downstairs and I slept and I cried. But do you remember did I even talk to you about it then? I think we talked in the morning and it was not making any sense. It was probably gibberish on my end.
I don't quite remember. But I do remember when I first got that Porsche. I love this car.
Oh,
Can we go to dinner in this one? I want to drive this car. I want to drive your car. I love your car. It's a Porsche. They're not $30,000. I didn't have to share with you the actual cost because you're not my wife at the time. I was telling you what was going on because I valued you, and this is what I'm going to do. Because my intention was when the market was at its height, I'm going to get these cars, right? And then I'm going to flip this car and sell it and get. So I got out of the 2, and I'm going to flip this Porsche and sell it, right? Because the market was, remember, everything was elevated with all of the
what year?
Inflation.
What year did you get that?
2022.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But it was starting to shift, right? What I did not account for, and this is my mistake, what I did not account for is this car not falling in line with the rest of the market because it's an EV, right? And the EVs weren't jumping like that, right? So I told her, hey, I got to pay X amount of dollars because I told you how much it was a month. I told you how much it was. And then I said...
After it was way too late. Because I was just like, this don't make sense. Like the way that people were responding to us in the car, I realized like this is a big deal.
Are you talking about when y'all driving people?
When we're driving, yeah. Little kids waving. And we'd be at like fancy restaurants and like white Republicans with Trump signs in the back. We're like, hey man, that's a nice car. I was like, what the hell is going on here? Because I didn't have any context. So
did I get that? One question. I don't remember. Seriously. Did I get that car before I proposed to you?
You did. Okay. You did. And yeah, he got it. He got it like a month before, 2 months before.
Okay, go ahead.
But so my point is how he's like,
that's
well,
you knew.
I'm realizing he really truly feels that I know a variety of things that I don't. And I gave him this example this week or last week, whenever I said, you will tell me, Symone, go grab your rain boots. And I grab my rain boots and I'm standing at the door and you're like, I told you it was raining. Why do you have that on? No, you told me to grab my rain boots. Maybe it is raining, but I'm just going with what you told me. And so in this situation, yes, I love the car. But if I had known what it cost, it would have been returned. That's why you didn't tell me how much it cost before you bought it.
No, what I'm saying was, my point is, I didn't owe you that at the time.
I disagree. Here's why.
Okay, sure.
Here's why. We had an agreement that we wouldn't make any business decisions, business related decisions. Hold on. Or any that required credit other than the 2 of us.
That was
before y'all got engaged. Before y'all got engaged.
We never had that conversation.
No, we had that when I was helping you, when I was trying to convince you to pay for to file bankruptcy. Our first year dating.
But we didn't talk about. Yes, you told me to monitor my spending and do those things and not take on new debt. But we didn't have a rule about telling each other about how much we spend if we can. We did not have that rule till we were engaged, love.
That may be true, but I'm saying
that's a conversation you have once you are going into marriage.
We talked about it. At the end of the day, if you think if I want to know about $1,000, I definitely want to know about $126.
Let me ask you this then, Rashid. Hindsight being 2020, do you believe that, because you know the state of mind you were in when you got that car, do you believe, knowing Symone enough, first of all, man, you feel like you know Symone about financial choices and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and when you made that decision back then, in the mindset you were in then, do you think that taking on a $2,600, $27, whatever it was, car note would have been to her approval? With what you knew about her at that point?
No.
So you knew that doing that, she would be like, nigga, you have lost your mind. Why'd you just do that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I would have been gone. I would have been back in my house. I would have been at the house.
Why would it have been that extreme?
Because I'm digging you out and you're digging yourself in. And most importantly, I said you have to stop making businesses without business plans. If you are making a $126,000 investment, that is a business decision. You need the financials. You need predictions.
So you look at that. So you look at that with the car. Were you using that car for business, Rashid? Was that going to be another car that you was going to like?
No.
That was just your personal drive.
Yes, that's my personal.
Slide the microphone
car.
closer, please.
I'm sorry. That was my personal car.
All right. So why you keep calling it business?
Oh, because what he told me is that he was going to flip it. And that's what he has done historically for a few years now. He wholesales, he brokers car deals and makes money and makes money by that. So initially I thought, okay, you're going to flip the car maybe. I was like, because surely like this isn't something we can afford long term.
And I said,
let me ask this, Rashid. So you that good that you'll buy a car and actually win on it? You'll flip a car?
Yeah, most
like
times.
Flip
but
houses?
sometimes, most times. Because I'm in the business. I know how to buy a car right. Most times I can, but sometimes you fail. And this one was a fail.
You would make money off of cars when they depreciate as soon as you buy it. You found a way to make money off of them.
Yeah.
I beg to differ. I have some clarifications there.
I did it for 3 years. Not working for anybody. 3 years. Since March 2020.
Then why are we in this predicament? Here, let me give you an example.
He said gambled wrong with one vehicle.
When we first started dating, you had a Bentley. He had a Bentley. He was leasing. Basically all of the instances I know where he's done this business model, it had not been successful for the vehicles that I am aware of. And I'm sure that some of them were, and it's put a strain on our household. The first year we were dating, he did this with a Bentley. When he turned that Bentley in, he had to pay $35,000 in cash because of overages, because he hadn't done the financials. And then he's got two other vehicles, same thing. He's got two Escalades, upside down. You heard him tell the story of how he had to turn two in for this. So what I'm saying is...
Not two of those, but go ahead.
Thank you. Okay. What I'm saying is if you're using a business model that is taking substantial sums out of your home, it's time that we do something different. I'm a really smart girl. We can figure it out together. But sometimes I feel like with the confidence issues that he outlined, he wants to succeed on his own. I get it. But I'm tired. Yeah.
But those what she's speaking of was what I talked about when we first started. Those were existing prior to me even knowing her. It's time to get out of those vehicles. And some of those vehicles did make money. And then a lot of the $30,000 that she's referencing was profits from the vehicle. It helped pay for my...
Oh yeah, you said that's how you was able to pay for the for the Bentley thing because you still had that $35,000 profit, but it just keeps putting you.
But
below.
I'm moving this, moving that. So
there we go.
She's right. It was a lot of strain on my finances, and it wasn't allowing me to save and put my stuff to more appreciating assets. But at the same time, I did have a model that was working, but it wasn't put in a business structure. I was just hustling.
Yeah, he's a hustler.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah, I was hustling.
Yeah. I told him that because I was livid maybe a year ago, and I said, listen, you are not a businessman. You are a hustle man. I didn't go to college. I didn't do these things to be with a hustle man. If I wouldn't be able, I didn't say this part, but I was thinking, I'd be with a drug dealer. Yeah. Like, for real. Drug dealers are fun. But...
Symone,
well, we all know this. But What
You say drug dealers are fun.
The statute of limitations for those days have passed. They're all incarcerated or legit now, y'all, I promise. But we had that conversation, and I appreciate that you let me be real with you in that moment and say it like that. Like I said, you're a hustler. This is a hustle business. Because I had kept asking him, I said, what's your monthly break even? He was never able to tell me. Yeah. And I get it, like... And it was the way that he had his accounts. I was like, just give me like bank statements and we can figure it out together. But I recognize like that's not something he enjoys. That's not one of his gifts. And that's okay. So I just want him to be in structures where he can be successful. Like the job he has now. He's doing amazing.
Because he says he's a great salesperson. So he said you put him in a room to sell, he gonna sell.
Yeah. Overall, it was poor choices, right? And I was on the road to recovery when it comes to my prior debts, including the Bentley, and I had like 5 cars at one point, right?
Yeah, 5 car luxury vehicles.
Mm-hmm. A Bentley, 2 Escalades, and a Range Rover. Oh, and a Prius. That was my daily car.
But you was leasing them out though.
Yeah. I leased them
were you
out,
doing like Toro or something?
Yeah, but no, but a little more than Toro. Like I had my own exotic
fleet,
right? Fleet. So you make more than Toro. Right?
So you actually lease cars out to people,
right? And then sometimes I would even do owner finance stuff. So they pay me a large amount of money down, and they're paying. I mark it up. My interest rate was 25%, stuff like that. Right. So
like a loan shark.
Right.
Yeah.
So and then when they did, and they signed a contract, they didn't pay me. I go get the car. They don't get any money.
I
back.
knew it.
So
we would go get cars. Oh yeah, I was also a repo woman. I mean, I wore so many hats in this relationship. I was a repo woman.
Came with me to
I was
repo
a student loan
time.
financial aid lady.
Yeah,
submitted all the certifications for the student loan forgiveness.
Yeah.
Became a travel agent, guys. Book Adventures with Symone.
Right. So,
got a website. No business now. Can't nobody come to the resort. We ain't getting married.
Something wrong with you.
Let me know the next flight you need booked.
Oh God.
Seriously, you travel a lot. Shit, I'm broke.
So, how it all snowballed because
there's so many things wrong with me. We can't cover them tonight. Oh, that was his other thing. He was like, he went to therapy and then a few sessions, and I was like, so when are you going back? She was like, I'm not going to therapy until you go. And I was like, everybody knows stuff's wrong with me. Like, how is this turned into me? Everyone knows there's something wrong with me. This is not the deliverable.
It wasn't that lighthearted. It was much more serious than that. She was showing some stuff. I was like, wait a minute. Like, nah, we're not doing this. We're not putting this and projecting this on me. Like, I'm the one that needs, like, nah, I'm not. Hold on. I'm like, nah, we're not doing that. I will go because I believe in counseling, but I think you need to go as well. So you want to be this adamant about me and what you just did? In the moment where something was going on, you need to go as well. And we both need to go because both of us are imperfect vessels. And I think you need to go as well. So until you do, I'm not going back.
I love therapy. I have no problem going to therapy. I would continue to have the same therapist if he didn't go to prison.
Yeah. It was an insurance issue.
Would y'all ever go to premarital counseling?
We kind of did. That was another thing we did wrong.
What you mean?
So we went to 2 sessions, but we needed like more. We needed to plan them more more consistently.
Yeah, because y'all became, hopefully all this would have came out.
Right, but
yeah. So are you optimistic? Are y'all optimistic? Well, I'm gonna ask y'all individually. Rashid, are you optimistic? Because of course we're dealing with a lot of your issues and haven't even unpacked whatever you may have, problems you may have with Symone. Because you just said the fact that there's some stuff that whatever, and we just beating you up right now.
Neither one of us is perfect. I deserve it. It's on me. I get it.
No, it's not a deserving thing. It's just a matter of
I'm saying the catalyst of this is you. Is my actions.
But when you look at it, do you have hope of reconciliation with this woman that you said at the very beginning, who I loved? You said about 3 times in the introduction.
Yes. It's waning.
Why?
Each day. Because I see when she breaks it down like this, I see how much hurt it's been there,
and you don't feel like you can heal it.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna try my best. Don't get me wrong. I'm gonna go out and fight, but I just feel that she, like when you sit back and listen, like, dang, I did that. I was like, wow, what? Really? That's a lot. You know what I'm saying? And again, she's not perfect, but I still feel and know that she loves me. But we've both said love is not always enough. Right?
That's true.
And I'm going to fight tooth and nail for this woman. I love her. She's a light in my life. But at the same time, I know that she's very serious about how she feels. Mm-hmm. And I know that she has options. Not just saying with other men. I'm just saying she doesn't have to submit herself to a life of unhappiness. And she sees that, and if I don't show her that, then she's gone. So I know those things, but just seeing how she's here and how she feels, I didn't know some of these things. So that's why I say, wow. That's
like what
it's almost like
know?
You feel you're down. You feel like you're in I relate a lot of things to sports. You feel like, okay, I'm down 15. That's, I can touch that. But, now you feel like you're down 30. You know what I'm saying? It's like, wow, I need some we need to call time out here. But I'll say this ultimately. Again, I make my sports analogy. She's the franchise and she just released me. Right? Instead of trading me. Because when you trade me, you trade my rights. You can't get me back. Right? You trade me to another team. By releasing me, she releases me, I become a free agent.
Yep.
Right? I'm able to sign with another team, and she's able to sign another player. At the same time, I can also restructure my contract and be brought back home to the same team.
That's good.
So that's how I'm feeling. That's how I look at every day, and trying to be optimistic and try to get back home to this woman. But at the same time, you ask me, I'm gonna be 100. I see it daily like it's waning.
Do you feel like it's waning because of the more time y'all spend apart from each other, the more that y'all, or not so much you, but the more you feel like she can function without you?
No, I've always known that she can function without me. I don't think,
or desire to function without you, or desire to get better, or desire.
Yeah, part of that. Yeah, you have those moments, those lonely nights now when she's got a great network and community of people who love her and are going to support her, and she's a very tough minded person, but she's soft too on the inside. But yeah, I feel that she can operate well without me. So that's part of kind of the insecurity there to the part where you feel like she doesn't need me.
All right, Symone, where you at?
I am hopeful for him. I'm hopeful for our friendship. When I first got to know him, I was like, you will be in my life as my friend. I know that we can maintain a friendship, but I think the challenge now, if I was in my 20s, I'd be like, oh yeah, we're gonna be back together. But I don't have the time. I don't have the time that I used to have to give him the time that he needs to work through these things, because it's not going to be quick and it's not going to be easy, because it's multifaceted. Yeah, there are financial things, but then you got to get to the core of the issue. And what I've started to realize is, because the core of his issue relates to self-esteem, it makes it difficult for him to hear unhappy things about you. For me to say some of these truths and for them to be received and processed. And so I feel that a large part of the challenge is we should have done couples counseling and finished our premarital counseling, where we could have gotten some of this out beforehand. In our last session we did, and I was honest that I felt insecure. But from the beginning, when I dated him, I felt like all of his problems were fixable. I still think they are fixable. I just don't know what his time frame is going to look like.
This is interesting. You said that it's hard for him to receive information. I noticed in this conversation there was challenging moments, but one thing I have to say that he made himself available knowing that he's going to be under fire. Most men ain't finna do that.
I don't know that he knew he was under fire.
Oh, yes, he did.
Maybe by you, but not by me. I've always covered for him. This is the first time where I'm like, hell no, not today. Sorry. No, I'm not going to say sorry. I'm not going to say sorry because I'm not sorry.
Well, he knew it because he saw you do other interviews.
Oh, okay.
He saw you do other stuff where you spoke about it, and he just had to take it without having to say anything in response to it. And so, he knows that if he sits on this couch, he ain't gonna be able to just shuck and jive with me. But also, he knows that it's the whole conversation is about finances. I didn't ask you how much money you made. I didn't ask you what you bring to the table. I don't know what you do. All I know is that you lived with him and he took care of you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I didn't ask you one question about Symone, what you do? What your debt look like? So I didn't ask you none of that. It's just all about him. And so, but he sat here and allowed himself not only to be judged by, well, I don't judge nobody, but to be under fire by us, but also he knows what this is going to do in front of all these folks. Mm-hmm. And so that's the reason why sometimes we don't realize the growth for this man who has lived a life, 40 plus years of faking, to then say, I ain't finna fake no more. And you talking about this ain't nothing but a few weeks after he exposed himself to the world.
Yeah.
When I say from a expedited a level of vulnerability, it's just not, it's unheard of. Because he didn't have to say that to nobody. I would have never even had y'all on this couch talk to you. Y'all the guy went through whatever y'all went through. I was like, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't even been invested in it. I wouldn't even had cared enough to bring y'all on the podcast to talk about it. If y'all had a private failed engagement, I would just talk to y'all offline and be like, man, I hope y'all get what's going on, man. Dang, man. Hey, man, I'm gonna be praying for y'all, and that's it. I'm never gonna put y'all out there and expose something as sensitive as this if he had not done it first.
That's what gave me hope. That's what gives me hope. I think if he had not done that video,
100%.
I wouldn't have hope. I would be like very much out there. And you have to remember the when I moved out, that was prior to the video. And in fact, the other night where I just said, just put some thoughts down. He didn't want to do it then. He's like, it doesn't. And I was like, here you go again, caring about appearances.
Oh, you telling him to do the thought, but that still wasn't for the public. That was just in your private documentary.
For our editors that would come together later on in life. But I didn't know that it was going to be all that. So I was so moved, and I am very proud of you. So yes, I am talking about different instances that hurt me and these things, but it doesn't change the fact that I am proud of you. And some people have asked me like, oh my God, were you upset that he did that? Absolutely not. And they had said like, do you think that was even necessary? Yes. Because we invited you guys into our lives and have monetized it and have made it a thing, we owe you an explanation when we're not giving you what you think you were receiving, what you've invested in. And he needed it to free himself.
That's what's so powerful.
He needed it to free himself.
He didn't do that for nobody else but himself.
Yes.
Right.
That was not to get me back.
And somebody talked to you like, I think he did that because he knew that that's what it takes to get her back.
It didn't work.
Yeah.
No, he knows me well enough to know I would be proud of him, but I have additional expectations. And I'm sorry, I feel like I'm sitting here like you're not even here, like the little kid is not here. But I am proud of you, and I do feel, and I could see he had been trying for a while to not care so much. But it's hard when you have a national mask.
Right.
And I just love that he's been so free since then. He said, didn't you say you feel like you have a weight off your shoulders?
Shoot, I
For
know
sure,
he do.
for sure.
I know he do. When he did like this, he said, you know what? This Rolex ain't even real. When he did that, when he said, and this necklace, this all capped. He started taking stuff. When I tell you, it takes so much vulnerability to do that. And he and I talked offline. His own boy was like, why wouldn't you tell? You didn't have to do that. Like, the first thing that people would do is say, you didn't have to do that. Why would you say that to the world like that? Don't do that.
Yeah, I got a lot of homeboys. They were upset. Why didn't you come to us? Why didn't you tell me it wasn't for you? I didn't want to be talked out of it because, like she articulated a little earlier, I don't like a negative perception of me, negative thoughts, judgment of me. So when I did that, that was releasing all of the care of others.
All the
years.
Yeah.
How I'm gonna care about what you say now? Like so it's like, and I needed that, and regardless of who liked it or who didn't, it wasn't for you
at all.
And for those who liked it, and when I said it, I said, if it helps one person, great, but this is for me, and because I can't renege on it.
And how many people have DM'd you and complimented you on your bravery? How many men have, let me ask you, has there been men that's reached out to you and said, thank you for doing that?
I can't even count how many.
Really?
Yep.
It was
because you don't have a lot of male followers, so.
Is it people just reach out?
It was as recent as driving to the airport to come to you today.
We talked about that.
I had a guy call me and said his mother sent him the video. His mother didn't know he knew me. And he said he was 16 minutes in. He called me, he was crying. And he said he was so appreciative. He lives the same way. He wants to break those chains and cycles. And so many DMs, so many people saying that I helped free their children, single women, raising young boys, women, because, women do the same thing, maybe differently.
Yeah, they go buy the bags, the purses,
all that.
I mean, the shoes. Dang well they charging everything
all
up.
That
they got to look cute in front of their friends.
Right. And then especially now, even more so as gender roles are starting to shift with money, because it's all about the money perception, social economics, and social class and status. It's been overwhelming, man. Like, so most recently I felt led to do a follow-up and just tell people, here's the plan. Because you're going to have the naysayers and saying that I tried to preempt her airing me out.
That's what somebody said. Yeah. Did you ever have plans on when you had moved out? Did you have plans on going on social media and say some stuff like that?
No, what good would that do? No, like what point? No, we made a statement to our guests and, telling them we were sorry, this is what happened, we're refunding. And that's all I was going to do. Like, because
I wrote a letter.
You wrote a letter to the guests?
To the guests, the letter.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And so that's all y'all was going to do is do that, and that's it. It felt like you was going to be some woman that posted and aired them out or something.
No, because the thing is, I wasn't deceived the whole relationship.
Right.
I signed up for this. I just did not know the context, the full context of what I was signing up for. So I carry responsibility in this too. I let it go for this long. I was not asking very specific questions. Like in that last week, I asked him, how much money do you actually make? Like that probably could have been asked a lot earlier when I'm trying to figure out why, but also it was very important to me that I take the stand that I took and remove myself, because with him, the issue is not earning money. And I think that's very important.
Yeah, you said you know how to make money. So that's why I said y'all both together could do some great stuff. So it's this. From a money standpoint, y'all be taken care of. Mm-hmm. He's a hustler. He knows how to make money. Yep. You being an attorney can bring the structure into it and make it a legitimate business that can, and what a woman does into a man's life anyway is she comes and multiplied. The other part that's being addressed is the emotional part, his self-esteem that he's saying, which is a work in progress, but he went over the biggest hurdle by saying, I don't care what nobody say. I'm finna go ahead and just share it. When you start off at ground zero, that is I'm telling you, most people won't start from that place. They'll just start trying to fix it, but they haven't fixed it publicly like that.
And that's what I had been doing.
Yeah, that's what you've been doing this whole time. So for you to just say, I'm gonna just start off at ground zero. Everybody, y'all finna know this. I went and shared it on my Dear Future Wifey community tab. I said, no, this man is operating in vulnerability. You know how I'm 10 toes down on vulnerability and transparency. So I put that on there. I said, y'all go show my boy some love. Go show it, because the other thing that happens, what makes a lot of people fearful of being vulnerable like that, is because of the judgment. You're already exposed. Right. Wounds wide open, and other people come, they just start putting salt in it. They start stabbing you some more. They're like, I can't believe you was wrong. You was this. And you like, dang, I'm already wide open. Why you throwing salt in my wounds? Yeah. That's a travesty to do to people. So when he did that, I was very specific in, y'all go wrap around my boy and show him love.
Thank you.
And people are already showing love and all that, because I'm telling you, what I know that happened in the spirit realm. Y'all know I'm a spiritual person.
Yes.
What I know happened in the spirit realm is he gave the devil a black eye. Why? It's because we have all of this rhetoric where it is this soft life. What he was talking about, the pressure that's put on men, is this. Men, you better earn a certain level of money that whoever you decide to marry, it's a choice whether or not they want to work. So you go, okay, well, all that is very ambiguous, because it depends on who you decide to marry. Depending on, you gonna marry a woman that's not really that high maintenance. She needs a little low lifestyle. Well, that's cool. That may say I need to make $80,000 a year. Then you go marry somebody that drives a freaking Maserati and like Christian Louboutins and all this name brand stuff. You like, well, dang, what that look like? Well, I need to make on that. Is that 250, 300? It's this ambiguous number that we go strive for, and then we put all this pressure on ourselves. And at the end of the day, they're not happy. They're disgruntled. They kicking a dog when they walk in the house. They resent you because they say, you only love me because I got money. Yeah. You only care about, and then you get the man that got a lot of money. He say, oh, who got the gold makes the rules. So now you over here, you want faithfulness from me? Oh, I make too much money to be faithful. Hold on, no, I got choices and options. Right. I'm gonna have you want the soft life? You got the soft life, baby. Don't question what I do outside of this. Yeah. And he go over there, he got all these side chicks, he's messing with women, he doing whatever he want to, and the minute you say something, be like, hold on, but this is the life you wanted, right? You don't understand when you marry a high value man, this is what comes along with it. I got options, boo. Yeah. And so now you like, but I want you to be faithful like the broke dudes was, and I want you to be, he like, listen, baby, go on, I don't care, leave. You know what I'm saying? And now you feel devalued because he knew that the only reason why you wanted him is because of the finances. Whether that's true or not, that's why you see the men in the rap videos. They have the nice cars and a bunch of women. They don't be sitting there with no one woman sitting next to them on the doggone thing. You got a whole lot of them walking around in bikinis. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why I said I love that he put a black eye in the enemy's face, is because he's coming against the spirit of finances. Are finances important? Absolutely. You got to make money in order to pay bills. That's just what it is. But I think that we put too much emphasis on it. Why? It's because even in the vows that you're going to take, it says for richer or for poor. We never think about the poor moment. We say for richer. That's what I want. For health, I want that.
And because we started at the poor, it has given me so much hope. Because I was like, if we can just work through this and get through this hurdle, like, we're going to have such a great life together.
Facts.
Because he is my best friend. He's kind. He's caring. My family loves him. Even after this happened, my mom was like, please let him know that we love him and we're supporting him.
Good.
You know? So, I mean, there's so much good to you. I'd never had to worry if you were cheating. I never had to worry if you were coming home. You know, just like the foundational things that you would want in your partner, I had all that. So somebody was like, well, you know, I don't understand why you were with him if, you know, these finance issues were so bad. I'm like, because it was just one thing.
100%.
And it was the beginning of our relationship.
Right.
So it made it like, oh, okay, I know you have to go through something. Let's knock this out in the beginning.
And that's what I think, that the optimism about the whole thing is at the beginning. That's why I say I got to give my boy respect, the fact that he said, I can't let her say I do to me, not knowing that what she's saying I do too.
Right.
So he said, I gotta tell her because she going, ooh, if I take her down this aisle, if I go borrow some money for somebody to pay for this wedding, because he could did all kinds of stuff.
Thing. I was very proud of you for not borrowing the money, because one of my homegirls was like, damn, I would have.
That's normally what I'd have done. That's normally what I'd have done.
They was just borrowed it and said, like, got you. You happy.
And then I would have been livid later, like, okay, you got me over here consenting to what I'm not consenting to.
That's what I said. You're going to resent me now or resent me later. Let's do it before we're married. And to summarize what I did, it was just a moment in time that resonated with a lot of people, and now I feel led to show people actionable items, and that was my follow up.
So what's the follow up? Let's talk about real quickly in the summer.
Yeah, I want to hear this part.
What's the game plan? We're gonna see if you can get Symone turned on while you say this. So come on, come win your boo back, my dude.
I've enlisted 3 people in the financial realm that's going to be helping me, and I'm going to be showing my process to those others who inspired by the story. So, and they're going to help me just break down this financial house and get to the bedrock and foundation of it and build back up. Because one of the things I was saying in the video, like, we hold on so much to rob Peter, pay Paul, to project this image, because we always feel like, I'm one lick away. I hit this one lick. It's all good.
Just like you said,
I'm a genius. Because you always look at, I fail. But if I didn't, I'm the man. I'm the genius.
That's what he said to me. That made me want to.
And then, but it's like, if we would just give up and let God, just let it go, what we don't realize is if we start from scratch and let it go, I'll get to where I want to go even quicker. So that's the whole thing. I'm a CPA is going to be doing my bookkeeping, going to be helping me get me on budget and things of that nature. He's going to be breaking down all that stuff for me. And I want to just chronologize. I want to show people and how you can get a CPA. He's a certified CPA. He's going to help me with all those things as far as bookkeeping and managing a budget. And then my good friend, my classmate, Maurice Scott from Ready to Love. Not Ready to Love.
Love Marriage, Huntsville.
But he's an attorney. He's a credit attorney. And I'm showing people this is what a credit attorney to do. Nothing's wrong with the financial, the credit bureaus, that the people that he's a credit attorney. He's going to show me creative ways using the law, which she has helped me do.
Right.
Fight some of these credit card debts. Fight some of the potential liens and things of that nature, and how to get out of those things while also keeping money in my pocket. Because in the past, I would just come up with a lump sum
and pay it.
Yep. You know what I'm saying? Or negotiate it down and just pay it. No, that's not the right way to do. That's what what
the white people do.
Exactly.
White people file bankruptcy, get rid of everything, be still millionaires.
Yes.
You still about
exactly.
A millionaire filing
all that good
bankruptcy.
stuff.
The one I got knocked out for you actually owed it, and I got that.
Yes, she
I
did.
got it completely dismissed.
And then, lastly is a retirement plan. How to use your insurance for how to use insurance to help you retire, 401ks and all that stuff. He works for Northwestern Mutual, and they've all agreed to come on and do it and record it for other people to see.
That's good.
And it's going to be my real no cap. It's going to show all the real stuff. So
and
I just want to show actionable items, man.
And the most important thing, you went and got a 9-to-5, right? You working now?
I did.
That was big.
What did that mean to you? Because that's the hard thing for a dude to do, is who's an entrepreneur say, I'm about to add stability, I'm going to get a job.
That was really challenging, because it had been almost a year that I had been asking you to.
Yeah.
But the thing is, so I had asked him to, and the first time he went, and it was so sad to watch. He went and he had an interview. He went on an interview. He was by hands down the most qualified, but didn't get that position.
Yeah, I started getting turned down because I was overqualified.
That must be hurting, don't it?
I was overqualified.
That was really
crazy.
rough. And but I was like, you just have to, because I as I learn him, I know his skill set in the environment that he works best in, and I know that that's an environment that has structure already, and so yep, I stayed on you.
When you say you got turned down, was that in the car business?
Yeah, in the car business.
Yeah,
so
car
I
got turned down being overqualified in the car business?
Because I
was like,
she's about to go take a record.
Well, how it happened, and I'll try to be quick, because I know we've been here a while. March 2020, I was overworking for car dealerships, making other people rich, and I wasn't happy, and I wasn't focused in any business in sales where if you don't kill, you don't eat.
Yeah.
You have to be mentally there, and I wasn't. I was checked out. So I decided right then, March 1st, I'm going to leave this profession and go on my own. And that's when the car god thing was born, right? My buddy nicknamed me that and said, what I'm going to do, I'm going to start selling to these rich friends and people that I know. I'm going to start putting it on YouTube, right? And it's going to be like $1 million listing version of auto sales.
Right.
And I started that channel called Car Gods,
Right.
right?
And I saw a video, you got Tommy.
I saw Tommy and Rose.
Yeah.
So all that started building and growing. Mind you, March 15th, my son comes home for spring break and never goes back to school. The whole country shut down.
Oh, yeah, COVID.
So 15 days in, I quit my job. I'm like, what the? Nobody knew what the heck was going to go on at the time, right?
Yeah.
I had already been chosen for Ready Love, but I didn't know if Ready Love was going to be in play because it was COVID.
And that ain't no money.
No, that wasn't no money.
Yeah, that just publicity.
Yeah, right. No vaccine, no nothing. So I say all that to say, within that time we started dating. It was a struggle, but I'd always figure it out. I had one of my best friends is my mentor. He's a multimillionaire. He owns car dealerships, right? Rashid, go back to work, bro. Go back to work. You're great. Go back to work. Go back to work. I was like, nah, bro. The time I got with my son right now is unfreaking believable because I didn't miss nothing. When I tell you, and the car business will eat you up, right?
Y'all work from sun up to sundown.
Man, and then she would always say, go get a job. Babe, I'm not ready. The time I have with my son. Because when I go back, I'm going to be all right. I'm close. Remember, I'm close. I'm going to kill it. So anyway, it's one of those things. It's a give and take. And I told her this the other night. I would do a few things differently, but I had 3 years with my son from 7 to 10 that I could never get back. Those 3 developmental years were huge to me. And yeah, I messed up a lot of stuff along the way. But to her, like she said, when I always wait till the 10th hour instead of the first. When it's all about to crumble, I was like, I'm going to go get a job. I'll go get a job. And then I go get a job, I fall right back in. Number 1 salesperson the first month. Second month, number 1. I'm about to be it again. So it's like, but that's a gift and a curse because I always knew I can go get a job anytime. I can go get a job. But I started getting turned down because I had created this and they saw the social media and they were afraid that I was going to do side deals. Like, how dumb is that? I get calls from social media selling cars. I'm going to sell your cars. Why are you intimidated by my success? So anyway, I got a job and I'm killing it like I knew I would, but.
So you top sales already.
Yeah.
So that's why, and my issue with this,
but it's frustrating to her. But to me, it's like I told you.
Well, no, I love that part. But my thing was,
the frustrating you should have been done it.
Yeah, you should have been done it. Yeah,
heck yeah.
Because he makes so much money. Because he makes so much money in the car business, boy. Lord Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and also I was like, I felt like we need to nip this in the bud now because you're gonna start making more and more and more money, and then
you don't
your
want to start
current
spending more again.
And your current strategy is just pay down. Some of these debts got to go. Like they don't need to be paid by anybody, and I know the law. Like
she said by anybody.
You need a plan, basically. A plan.
So how do you feel about what he just said? What he told me before is that he's engaging these people to help him structure stuff.
I think that's wonderful. But again, we're still not dealing with the core of the issue.
So what is that?
To me, I feel like I am.
Is that therapy?
Yes.
Okay. So what you feel like is the well-rounded approach. He needs to get therapy and have financial therapy.
Absolutely.
And we talked about a therapy plan though.
Okay. Because it's like, you're treating the symptoms, but you're not treating the cancer.
All right. So how do you feel about therapy now, Rashid, without her going?
No, that's fine because, again, she made a statement today, and this is part of talk. She's separating our lifestyle so we can be more independent. So at this point, it's about me.
Right.
So, and it always should be about your, to me, the reason I would say that to her is because she had issues that she needed to deal with as well. And it was like, I was the only one.
Right.
So it's more of a defense mechanism.
Right.
Not saying
I ain't going, you're going to go too.
Because I believe in it. I went a lot after my divorce by myself. And then, you stop going and this and the third. And so I'm going back to counseling.
So
sure. And that's more actionable items because I know that's what it would take to win her back. actionable items like the other things.
Right.
But I need to do that regardless. If we get back together or not, I'm on this path regardless.
Right.
And that's another reason I put the video out, because I cannot go back.
Yeah.
And I'm going to show these people who want to see it the process.
That's good. So you're going to have financial accountability around you, as well as emotional accountability by having a therapist.
Correct.
And then Symone, you feel like it's going to take time. What would you like to see? How can someone prove that they've healed the inner struggle that they've had?
So a large part of this is I want him to do it his way.
Right.
Because ultimately, I still want to be able to submit to you in our marriage.
I know. So what would you see?
Oh, so I don't want to tell him because he's just going to do that.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
All right.
But I'll know it when I see it.
That's good. That's
and
fair
I
enough.
do have a strong idea of what I want that to look
That's
like.
fair. So that's good. That's good. But Rashid still has hope. He'd say dwindled down to about 30%, but he gonna do this for himself, and hopefully you fall back in love with him. And
I haven't unloved him.
I know, but you talking marriage level, because you like you said, he can be my friend. You ain't gonna be friends on to my boy. So you tell me he'll be my friend. We gonna be friends forever. People be saying,
if I was Oprah, we would be getting married. Okay, he would be Stedman. We just wouldn't have any joint bank accounts, baby. We would be getting married if I was Oprah.
Well,
really, you would.
Exactly. That's probably why they're not married.
Well,
he probably does the same financial things you used to do. I'm just saying, if I had millions of dollars, we wouldn't be here. I love him that much.
Really? So you tell me, if you have millions of dollars, you will say, I'm marrying this man. We ain't gonna be joint. We ain't gonna be sharing accounts, but I will marry him.
Will I marry him, or will he be my boyfriend for life?
See, that's what I
No, I probably would. I would.
You just signed
I would
a prenup.
Probably marry him. Oh, for sure. And he was open to that.
You said I'm gonna sign a prenup, and
we just went.
I got things to lose too. Like, let's not get it too. Like,
No,
that's the conversation I had with her. I was like, yeah, let's do it. I'm down with it.
But you talking about this make believe and the make
no,
believe
world.
world.
No.
Yeah.
But we talked about a prenup.
If you got $1 million, you still said you would marry him right now.
I would.
That's good. That's it. I want to end on that.
I would.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
That says that finances, you just said something that's very important, that you want security. Even if he's not providing the security financially, he provides a security with you from an emotional standpoint that you would undergird the financial security that you need. Because you just said if you have millions, you will marry him based upon everything else he brings to the table.
Correct, because I could obtain the financial security. And knowing the kind of man that he is and how supportive he is, I just have to tell him my idea and he would bring it to fruition, which is of value to me.
That's beautiful.
Huge value.
That's beautiful. When I say that's beautiful, and we're going to let that end on that beauty, because again, you just eradicated that whole soft life mentality of saying that a man needs to be able to take care of you financially. You're not looking to be taken care of financially. You're looking for you want a place that you can submit to.
Yeah.
And just so happened that the financial part that has come as an ugly dragon in y'all's relationship has shaken the security out of you, where you're like, I do, because this right here is attached to this, and this has it's just too much. I can't trust this, because you said also throughout this interview is that, hey, you've shared these moments of vulnerability with me. You told me that you wasn't gonna let me get married knowing this or whatever. We can get married tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? And so your heart is always leaping towards him. And then you get in these private moments where you begin to think, whether you talk to your mom or sitting in the Porsche, and you just go, but the decision process that's leading to these moments are detrimental. And that is so important. What I see in this whole situation is the love is there. There's still trust there, and safety is just that it's a little fragile in these other areas. So you should feel optimistic, Rashid. You should feel very hopeful. If this is the woman that you want, don't go get all this money and be like, well, forget Symone. I'll forget me another one. Forget her. Back then you didn't want me. Now I'm hot. Now y'all on me. You know? So he said, I'm going to go ahead and upgrade. Forget you then, Symone.
Ain't such a thing.
Say it again.
Ain't no such thing.
He said this, which I didn't want to leave, and I want to talk about that. He said that you have options. How do you feel about that?
It's true.
When you looked at, I think that was a video that you put where you were talking about the age that you are, it begins to be very challenging wanting to have kids and having to start over with somebody else.
Yeah.
Touch on that before we leave.
I think for me, part of the pain and so forth was because I feel like I gave him my most valuable years, literally my most beautiful years. I look at the pictures I was when we started dating and now, and I've aged, like, for me, considerably. You
say age considerably. Y'all ain't been dating that dang long. You're like, y'all done tough.
It'll be 3 years since we met in September, but like in that 2 years, I don't feel as pretty. I'm not as fertile. That's for darn tootin'. And so I have options, but I feel like they are minuscule in comparison to what they were when we started
3 years ago.
3 years ago, but also because I'm not the same. I don't have the same joy.
Oh.
I can't trust as much. I can't.
That's good.
I used to have this ability. I was told that I would make, like, just sitting at a bar, I would make a stranger feel like he could conquer the world. A stranger told me that. He's like, you just make people feel like they can do anything they put their minds to. And I said, well, I'm so glad I made you feel this way in this short meeting. And I used to be able to do that regularly. And I don't think I have that anymore. So I got to work on getting back to me, because I deserve that happiness too. Just that glow that I used to have, because I had so much trust, but also I do see the best in people, and I see the best in him. And I think I don't trust myself.
That's what I want you to say right there.
I don't trust myself as
you don't trust your decision making process.
My decision making.
And that's good. And that's what will take, like he was talking about, encourage you to go through therapy, is it's going to start rebuilding that trust and begin to uncover the beauty of who you are and not relegate it to an age, because you didn't lose value by 3 years passing. You didn't give him the best of your years. You gave that to whoever you was dealing with in your 20s. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. When you was in your 20s, that's when whoever you was playing around with in your 20s and the early 30s, that's where they considered your best years. And I don't even consider anything your best years. Yeah. When you're talking about fertile and kids, yes, we can talk about that. But you didn't give him your best years. You gave him the years that you gave him. You know what I'm saying? And I'll even go further to say that your best is still yet to come.
Thank you.
Because the wisdom that you have gained from this situation to get yourself to this place of vulnerability. Have you ever been engaged before?
No.
See, this is a new chapter of your life to go. And that's why I say I look at the beauty of it all. You made yourself... You made yourself vulnerable and open to this thing called marriage. You've introduced this man to your family. Your family loves him. He introduced you to his son. They love you, kid. All that stuff, all this beautiful thing that has happened, and it's not as bad as it may seem in it. Because me having been married and have gone through a divorce, I can look at this and say, this is beautiful. I say it's beautiful because I'm telling you, to deal with it early on is the most amazing thing that you can ever deal with. It's so amazing. It's like, I'm like, you guys, and I'll say this, thank you, Holy Spirit, y'all have the privilege of dealing with it now. You have the privilege of dealing with it now. I'm telling you, if y'all can look through my DMs and talk to some of these people I know that are married, when I tell you it is bad. Yeah. I've talked to people that's been married 15 years, 16 years, and they done dealt with this and way more. You talking about him feeling like a gambler in his decision. I've talked to people in my DMs that are literally dating gamblers he got a house to go to. They done gambled a house away. They done gambled everything. I'm talking about have nothing. Have literally nothing. I've talked to, when I used to do a lot of stuff with the homeless, I would talk to homeless people like, yeah, man, I gambled my whole family. Like this one dude I met that lived in Vegas and was on the streets here in Dallas, he said he gambled everything that his family owned. His wife left him. She had nothing else. She had to go move in with her family. I'm talking about gambling everything away. Yeah. So it's some stuff that people deal with. And what I'm so happy about is not only is he dealing with it early, but then what y'all are able to build, if y'all steward this season well, Thank you, Holy Spirit. If you steward this season well that y'all are in right now, I mean, total submit to it and go, God, what are you trying to tell me to do in this moment? All right, cool. I'm humbled. I've humbled myself. I'm putting accountability financially like he's doing. I'm going to get a therapist to work with me on the emotional stuff so I don't deal with childhood trauma all the way until I turn 50. I'm going to kill this. I'm going to kill this Goliath right now in my life. And then whatever issues you're dealing with, you say, I'm going to kill all this right now. Whatever it is, I'm going to deal with this thing. Now, when I say I do, he's saying I do to a version that he didn't even ask to marry. See, who you become when on the day that he marries you is going to be a different person than it was when he said, will you marry me? That process, and the same thing with him. When he got down on his knee and proposed to you, you get a chance to marry a different version from the person that you said that you would marry. But the new version is going to be 10 times better than the person that got down on his knee. That's what y'all have set before y'all right now. That's the beauty of it all right now. And so that's why I say it's not such a bad thing that y'all going through this. This is the grace of God allowing y'all to deal with it. Start from a clean slate. He ain't got nothing. He withholding nothing. You know who he is. He like, this is what I am. The world knows who I am. But then watch how the world watches him glow up. Watch how the world watches you thrive. And you know, I still speak that y'all are going to be together. And the process to the promise is maybe ugly, maybe unconventional, but what y'all will have in this moment will be something that's unstoppable because y'all went through the storm. Yeah. A lot of people want this easy stuff. Marriage ain't easy. No. I'm seeing people been married 10, 15 years getting divorced. I'm like, how you be married somebody 30 years and getting filed for divorce?
Yes.
You know why? It's because they swept all the stuff under the rug through all those years.
Yeah.
I was talking to the couple that was there, my boy Jonathan and Tatiana Merritt. Went through a rough season, year 10. Beautiful couple. Year 7 to about 11. For 3 to 4 years, they hated each other. They despised it. It was like, he said, well, I'm pulling in the driveway. She jumping out the car before the car stops. They sleeping in different rooms. I said, were you subconsciously saying, I'm waiting for the kids to age out of the house and leave? Yeah. We're going to get divorced. He said, yeah, I actually believe I was doing that. So here you have this beautiful couple that experienced that in their marriage where they want to throw in the towel. Well, praise God that they overcame it. But their engagement process wasn't as tumultuous as this. So that means that when you either gonna go through it at the beginning, you're gonna go through it in the middle, you're gonna go through it, you're gonna go through some stuff.
Yeah.
Y'all going through it early.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it. If y'all can weather this storm and you give him this space like you need him to do to go through his maturation phase and for him to re-earn that trust and that submission, because submission is extremely important. You know, heaven forbid y'all got married and you still didn't trust yourself submitting to him. That's going to cause a whole other set of issues. Yeah. And so my boy is going to do what he's supposed to do to gain that, and you're going to willingly submit to him when it's time for you to get married. And that's what I'm believing God for. Thank y'all so much for sharing your heart. Thank y'all for being vulnerable. Thank y'all for being transparent. Y'all kicked off season 7 with some real stuff. Hey, this is tough topics. Yeah, and man, I'm glad that y'all 10 toes down.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for being a support for both of us, man.
Because I love y'all. Y'all great together.
Appreciate you.
Thank you so much. We love you, bro.
When I saw y'all in the first episode with me, I was like, oh, y'all work. Like, y'all balance each other out. Rashid be kind of serious like this, and then Symone just a complete silly. Yeah. She's silly.
I don't care what anybody thinks about me. So it's balanced.
It's balanced.
Yeah.
And now he don't care what nobody think about him.
Right. Facts.
So y'all there now. So that's the thing about it. And so y'all have gotten to this place of equilibrium, and it's just I can't wait till y'all man.
Thank you.
Lord Jesus, I get emotional when I think about marriage.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much, bro.
Yeah. Anything y'all want to say before we close out?
No, just thank you for your support. Check out my YouTube channel, which is called Girl, Is That Legal? Every week I give away a free background check to anyone, a woman, man who wants one on the person of your choice. So, that was how I found out some of the issues here, and we were able to address them. But it's also how I've helped people make sure that they're not moving in a criminal with their kids. And it's fun. Girl, Is That Legal?
Girl, Is That Legal? Rashid?
Just more stuff, just showing some more transparency and showing the actionable items along my process. And that'll be on Ages and Stages, and then they can see all of the other things on my social media. Rashid _ the Car God That's it. I appreciate it, though. Appreciate the platform. I hope it can help some people. And that's it, man.
I'm going to put some links to that in the bio. Heavenly Father, we come to your day. Thank you for the opportunity for these vessels to be used by you, God, as they operate in this level of transparency and vulnerability. I ask that you continue to heal their hearts, heal their minds. God, I ask that you begin to perform surgery on those broken places, those places that were broken even before they even met each other. God, I ask that you begin to heal those childhood wounds or issues that they have gone through. And God, I ask that you do something new, that you do something afresh, that you take these experiences, God, and you allow it to be a beacon of hope for people that are watching this episode, those that are going through financial issues in their homes right now. God, I ask that you help them to develop strategy on overcoming it, that they first come to a level playing field and begin to be vulnerable with each other, letting each other know what's going on, wives that are going and shopping behind the husband's back and sneaking the stuff in their closet and acting like it's always been there. You know, all those little things that people do, quote unquote, that are signs of manipulation. I ask for are people that have extra bank accounts that the spouse don't know nothing about. They got them a little just in case this marriage don't work out. These little funds set aside for that. God, I ask that they begin to heal those things, those areas of distrust, in the name of Jesus. And God, will continually give you the praise, the glory, and the adoration. And we thank you, God. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 Hey, y'all give it up for Rashid Floyd and Symone Redwine.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladarian, thrusted suddenly into Child Protective Services in 2015. My nephew, Black, a boy. The likelihood of being adopted outside of kinship, slim to none. Armani, 16 years old, Black, a boy, with 5 years in the foster care system before I even knew his name. The likelihood of ever being adopted, yep, you guessed it, slim to none. While Ladarian and Armani were trying to survive and barely thrive in an overpopulated and underfunded foster care system, I was living my own life, doing well professionally. Having been a single father with a daughter who at that point was doing well in college, it was my time to live my life, right? Wrong. I felt unsettled, tireless, agitated. There are just too many of our Black children stuck in ambiguity and in the limbo of the foster care system. In 2017, I legally adopted my nephew, Ladarian. Fast forward to 2019, I had no ties to this other young king, but I felt God instructed me to adopt him also, and I obeyed. Starting over with parenting should have been enough, right? Working with various foster care and adoption agencies to help bring awareness to the countless young Black kings in the foster care system should have decreased my agitation, right? Joining the board of directors of Advantage Adoption, an organization that helps find permanent adoptive homes for children in foster care, should have led to some type of resolve, right? No, not at all. None of it felt like I had done enough. I now realize that every one of those experiences was laying the fundamental foundation for my life's mission, Kingdom Royale. Kingdom Royale will be a luxury, state-of-the-art home for foster boys. Our first location will be in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. We will utilize the whole person approach that instills identity, empowers them to advocate for themselves, and enlightens them regarding new perspectives and limitless options that they thought were impossible. Though the young kings will attend the local public schools that are in proximity to Kingdom Royale, our at-home curriculum will broaden their worldview through participating in the arts, attending various cultural events, learning about and engaging in multifaceted discussions about current events and even relevant historical context, introducing them to gardening and landscaping and even caring for our animals on our farm and on-site stables. We just launched our Startup Capital campaign with the goal of raising $2.8 million. Now, why $2.8 million? Well, in 2017, I created a web series in which I performed random acts of kindness for targeting the homeless community. One of the most notable successes was that one of the videos went viral, garnering 28 million views. However, one of my biggest regrets is that I didn't raise a single dollar to help in implementing a more sustainable plan for the homeless community. So throughout the years, with much remorse. I reflected on not maximizing that moment. I knew if at that time, just 10% of the viewers donated $1, we would have raised at least $2.8 million that could have really established long-term support for the homeless community, or at least started a long-term initiative to do so. This is my do-over. This is our new beginning. Together, we can attack this at the root by specifically helping our homeless Black boys who are already disproportionately represented in the American foster care system. I'm Lateris R. Whitfield. I've been nominated for 3 regional Emmys documenting my work with the homeless as well as my personal adoption journey. Despite those accolades, the greatest award for me is truly providing the infrastructure for a transformed life. Visit kingdomroyale.com for more details. Crown a king and make a donation today. Man, we're off to a great start. Season 7, Tough Topics. You know, I really want to tackle tough topics because when not discussing this stuff ahead of time can lead to ultimate failure and demise of a marriage when you overlook certain stuff that need to be addressed, even in the dating phase. It's never too early to talk about stuff that may be deal breakers for you. You can save yourself a whole lot of time. Well, shout out to Symone and Rashid for trusting the Dear Future Wifey platform to provide a safe space for them to be able to share something that's very sensitive to them, something that they're going through in real time. So Rashid and Symone, I honor you for bearing your soul, sharing your heart, and trusting the Dear Future Wifey podcast to be a place of non-judgment. So thank y'all so much, and we're going to be definitely praying for y'all to overcome this and let God's will be done for y'all to be totally submitted to the will of God. And so, yeah, love y'all a lot. Well, here's my favorite part of the podcast where I speak to my future wifey. Dear Future Wifey, tough topics. There will be no conversation off limits with us. We will have an open door policy to our hearts with one another. We will curate a safe space that affords the other the comfort to share their feelings, fear, and frustrations without judgment. We will be the protector of each other's hearts and mind, constantly covering the other with love and grace. Our laughter will be contagious. We will laugh in the face of adversity. We will rise above anything and everything that comes our way. We will be unstoppable. I absolutely, undeniably, and irrefutably love you. Dear Future Hubby. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Dear Future Wifey podcast. Remember, be lit, live intentionally and transparently, and don't stop loving. Make sure to subscribe to our Dear Future Wifey YouTube channel. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher. We welcome your support. Simply share our podcast with your friends and family.